All right, NBL, welcome back to the Extra Point Podcast, episode number 14 here. I'm your host, Tom, and as usual, I got my co-host here, Project Fat. Let's get right in. We're going to wrap up some divisions right here and tell you guys who's leading everything right now. So we'll start off with the NFC East, my division here. We have the Eagles at 10-2, and the Giants 2 games behind them, 8-4. Cowboys 4 games back, 6-6, and then the Redskins are looking for next season, 2-10. And move on down to the NFC North here, and we got the Detroit Lions leading it once again, 11-1. Green Bay Packers and Minnesota Vikings both tied for second at 7-5, and in last place we have the Bears at 1-11. And the NFC South here, Panthers leading 9-3. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7-5. Super Bowl defending champion Falcons are just a mediocre 6-6. And then the New Orleans winless Saints still looking for the first NBL win, 0-12. Wonder if it's going to come this year. And last division here, we got NFC West. We got a two-way tie at the top. We got Seahawks 8-4, Niners 8-4, and then the Rams right behind them at 7-5. And then you got the Cardinals here, 2-10, looking for next season. As far as the playoff picture goes, we have the number 1 seed Lions, number 2 Eagles, and we got the 3 as Panthers, 4 Seahawks, and then the 2 wildcard teams is the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. And that's a quick look at the NFC picture moving forward. And why don't you tell us about the AFC over there?
All right, will do. We'll go ahead and start off with the East as well over here in the AFC. We have the New England Patriots at the top, tied at the top right now with the Buffalo Bills. Both those teams sitting at 8-4. We have the New York Jets sitting at 4-8, and then we have the Miami Dolphins sitting there at 3-9 there at the bottom of the East. Then moving on to the AFC North, pretty interesting battle here. We have 3 teams tied at 8-4. Looks like right now the Ravens have the edge. The Bengals there at number 2, and then the Steelers at 3. Once again, all with an 8-4 record. And then you have the Cleveland Browns there at the bottom at 3-9 right now. And kind of the opposite end of things here in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts sitting at 6-6, with the Tennessee Titans sitting there tied with them at number 2 at 6-6 as well. Then you have the Texans and the Jaguars both sitting at 4-8. Then down to the AFC West, you have the Denver Broncos, who are the other 11-1 team here in the NBL, with the Oakland Raiders sitting at 6-6, the Chiefs at 5-7, and then the Chargers rounding out the bottom there at 1-11. In the playoff picture for the AFC, as I just mentioned, you have the Broncos at 11-1, the New England Patriots sitting at number 2, Baltimore Ravens sitting at 3, the Colts, because they are leading their division, are at number 4 right now at 6-6. And then your 2 wildcard spots currently are the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals as well. And then the Steelers also sitting at 8-4 with both of those teams right now as well. But that is the AFC, and that's what we're looking at over here.
Yeah, and the AFC over there, it's really looking a lot more tight. Over here in the NFC, the division leaders for the most part have a little bit of a cushion. But looking over at the AFC, there you got the AFC East is a 2-way tie, AFC North 3-way tie, AFC South 2-way tie. The only one that looks like it's decided is the West there. So down the stretch, it's going to be fun to watch who's going to prevail. I know next week I believe VZ the Ravens and Lip at the Steelers have a matchup. Looks like that's going to be for the possession of the lead in the AFC North there. Down over here in the NFC, we have a big cluster for the wild card team where there's like 5 or 6 teams all within one game of taking that last wild card spot. But I want to move into I want to talk about two different teams here. A team that I think is kind of a sleeper team, not necessarily in the playoffs, but close to the playoffs. And if they happen to make the playoffs, I think they're gonna have a big run down the stretch. And that team that I think is gonna be the St. Louis Rams. They have owner FCB Draco has yet to make a playoff appearance here in the NBL. So I think he's thirsty for one. He's ready to get that that first berth here, and he's just been playing well. The team started off really slow, 0-3 start, but then they proceeded to go ahead and win their next 5. But even those first couple losses they had, one was to the Bills, which went to the Super Bowl last year, and then they lost to the Patriots, who are currently tied for the division lead. But they were on a real roll. They beat the Seahawks twice, who was at one point undefeated in the division, and they beat them twice, and then they beat their other divisional opponent, the 49ers here. So it seems like FCB is really getting hot down the stretch. He's still got 2 big divisional games left, one against the 49ers, one against the Cardinals. But like I said, if he makes the playoffs, I'd be looking out for him. I know myself and the Giants played him once this season, and we couldn't even score on him. He's got a great team over there, a young rookie quarterback, but he's really building that team up well. And I think that they're going to be a force to reckon with down the stretch here. So definitely watch out for them.
Yeah, and then the team in the that I think could possibly be a team that's going to sneak in and could possibly make some noise in the playoffs is going to be over in the AFC with those Tennessee Titans. Obviously, they are going to be getting a little bit of help with that division that they are in, but they've been playing, kind of impressive. They took the Broncos down to the wire in their last game, lost by 3 there, so very close game with that one. But they do have a pretty good stretch ahead of them with their last 2 games being played against teams with 5 wins on the season. So next up they have the New York Jets. And then after that, they do have a pretty tough opponent in the Minnesota Vikings, but they are at home for both of those games. And then they do end on the road against the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But that is a team that I think, if they can make it that I think will make it into the playoffs, and if so, could possibly make some noise and be a little bit of a splash there. A big part of that would be, Mettenberger playing pretty well. He has 21 touchdowns this season with only 14 interceptions. So he's playing pretty well at this point in time as well. So that's the team that I think could possibly be someone to look out for as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, especially owner train there of the Titans. He's got a little playoff experience prior with his Browns, so if he gets there, it's not going to be his first time, and it probably won't be his last time. So he'll know what to expect come that time, and you can expect him to be on his A game once that time comes. So I definitely could see the Titans doing this and getting into the playoffs there. But I think it's going to be all the time we have here for our episode. Just give you guys a quick little wrap up on the divisions and how it's looking closing down the stretch here, as we have a couple games left for the season. And we'll be back here for you guys next week. We'll have a new episode of Tout's Take. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious as always, as he's going to bash every team that happens to slip in the playoffs because he hasn't made it himself yet. But anyway, it was a fun time here. You guys have a good one.